Hey guys, it's been a while since the last update. Sorry about that. I finally released 2.0 beta. So what this update is, it is a complete rework of the plugin. All the old code was poorly written. It didn't follow any real concepts of Java to make it good. Perhaps it was just one class file, so everything was just jumbled together. I recently updated it. If you want to check out my Bitbucket page, I'll link it in the project description shortly. It's a nice rework of the project. I relabeled it as a GNU license, so that way it is more legal, perhaps you could say. You guys can use this plugin for donation purposes, whatever, as long as you give me credit on this plugin if you rewrite it. You may use it in your own plugin if you want to, or anything else. In addition to legalities, everything is just much better, much easier to update, and for you guys, a lot more bug-free. So I'll go ahead and jump into this. The first thing you're going to want to do is download the new jar file. It's 2.0b. You click that, you go to download, and you download it. And then once you have that downloaded, you can go ahead, go into your server directory and plugins, drag, 1 second, drag and drop that on in there, like so. I'm just going to rename it Lootbox because I have a little bit of OCD. There we are. Looks perfect. And also, we're going to go ahead and open up this config.yml. So right now, we'll open that up first, and we'll start up the server. And when the server starts up, it'll create a little config of its own. This only creates chat utilities. It won't create any of the actual loot boxes that you want, just for an example of how you can create your own. So we're going to go ahead and copy in this little config, and it'll help us describe how this plugin works and how you can configure it yourself. So you can go ahead and go down to the raw paste data and copy that on over to the config.yml. Once it's generated, you'll see just create a little folder with config.yml. Open that on up. See it has like nothing in here, nothing that you really want, just the chat options. So we'll go ahead and paste in this new one and save it. Once you have that on saved, you're going to want to reload the config. Right now there is no console commands. Sorry about that. It's a beta feature, so they're not enabled. Everything you have to do right now has to be done in game. So you're going to want to log in and reload the config right away. And once that's reloaded, we can go ahead and look at this plugin. I did a little earlier tutorial, so I still got some of the stuff here. And we'll jump on in. So the first part of this tutorial will focus on the commands, and the second part will focus on the configuration. So go ahead and do Lootbox help. This is all your regular player help information here. There's a help menu, there's a little information, and an open command. That's a little bit new in this one. You can no longer open from your inventory. There was some errors where players would open in their inventory and open the lootbox they didn't mean to open and waste a key they didn't want to use. So to make this all foolproof, how it works now is the loot box goes in slot 1 of their inventory, right there, and the key goes in slot 2. If there's only loot box, it only takes up slot 1, but if there's loot box and key, it goes in slots 1 and 2 to avoid any confusion. And in addition, there's the list key, which has been combined into one command. Before it was slash lootbox keys and slash loot boxes. That's been reworked a tad bit. And lastly, the lootbox preview command, which has been reworked to scale to the size of lootbox, which we'll get into later. So let's go ahead and get into the admin commands. So to get to admin commands, you go to lootbox help admin. Just make sure you're an op or you have the permissions to do this. And there's just 3 so far. There's the actual admin help page, there's the reload command, and then there's the give command. The reload command is the one that we're going to want to do first of all. So we're going to go ahead and reload that config. And secondly, we're going to want to give ourselves some of these loot boxes. So to see what loot boxes are all in this default config, first we're going to have to list them out. Typed that in incorrectly. There it is. So there's 5 different types here. If we want to expand that out too, this gives a list of keys that open each one. So this epic loot box can be opened by either an epic key or a global key. Same thing with the epic loot box. There's 2 types. These are just different regions. I just made up the names from a nice little generator. So this key can open up either epic loot box 1 or 2. Global key can open up any loot box. Rare key opens rare. Legendary opens legendary. And common requires no key to open. So go ahead and jump into the common loot box and show you how that one works. So go ahead and give ourselves that loot box. So it's lootbox give username followed by the type, which is a loot box, followed by the UUID. So the UUID only server owners will know as of right now. I'm working on a feature where admins can get to know it. All it is this header right here. So the UUID for common loot box is just common, rare is rare, legendary is legendary, epic 1 is epic 1, epic 2 is epic 2. So the little header on there is its UUID, which is used in the give command. So we'll go ahead and give ourselves a common loot box, like such. Next, you can take a little preview of it as a player. And this one you'll notice there is 5 items. There's 13 semi-broken swords, a stone pickaxe, 8 pieces of pork chop slash bacon, an apple, and some melons. And if we look at that again, there are no little chance indicators on here, so this means that you're going to get every single one of these items. There's a 100% chance each one of these items will go into your inventory when you open it up. And just to open it up, it's simple. Keep it in slot 1. Actually, we'll show you what happens. If you keep it in slot 4, it won't work. You won't be able to find it. It'll say you need a loot box and key to do this. So you have to make sure that it is in slot 1 in order to open up. So go ahead and open it. And as you can see, we got everything that it said we would get. We'll go ahead and skip into the rare crate quickly. Just go up in here, give loot box rare. So this rare crate requires a key. So if we try and open it up as is, it is not going to let us do that. The chat message is a little bit off. That's configurable in the chat option now. So if that kind of bugs you and you can't wait until the next update, feel free just to change that around here. You just have to change that one, because obviously that chat message is incorrect. Sorry about that. Work on that in the next update. But either way, as you can see, it will not let us open that until we have the key. So we need to give ourselves the key as well. That was the loot boxes section here. We'll skip down to the keys section. This is Notepad++ in case you're wondering. I'll leave a link in the description as well. It's a nice YML out of there. So the keys, we want a rare key. UUID of that is just rare as well. So we'll go ahead and give ourselves a rare key. And if we take a look at what you can get out of this, we'll see that there is an item with a chance on this. There's only a 50% chance you'll get the sword, but there's a 100% chance that you're going to get all this chain armor here. So if we give ourselves 3 of these, there's an expected chance of 1 to 2 of them, if my math is correct. So we'll go ahead and open 3 of them on up. Nothing on that one, 1 sword on that one, and nothing on that one. So we're a little bit unlucky, but as you can see, 1 out of 3 of those was a sword, which just about rivals the chance. It's all completely random, so it depends on your luck. You could have gotten all 3, you could have gotten 0, you could have gotten 1. So the only thing that changed with this update with the chances is the fact that there's no min or max items anymore. You can't specify in the loot boxes min items, max items. I'll work on that in 2.1 or 2.2. I know that's a core feature that a lot of people rely on, so I'll work on that as soon as possible. Skipping ahead, we'll go over to the epic loot box because there's 2 of those. And we first have to figure out what the UUID of that is. So the first one here is epic 1 and the second one is epic 2. So we'll give ourselves 1 of each of these, and we'll open them on up. So epic 1, and epic 2, and an epic key, because there's only 1 key for each of these. So this key right here can open up either or of these, and the way you can tell that is in the open loot boxes thing here, it has it defined as the UUID again, epic 1 and epic 2. So this will open up either this one right here, or this one right here. So we'll give ourselves 2 keys just to prove that. And we'll also give ourselves a rare crate just to prove that that key won't open the rare crate. So put the rare one there, put the keys right there. See an epic key with rare, this won't open. As you can see, it's not going to work. Toss that on out. Give ourselves the epic one. Open that on up. There's a lot of stuff in here, as you can see. And we can also open up the different kind with this as well. Just take a quick preview at what this is. This, as you can see, it scales to the size. So there's a little bit of ore, some diamond armor, some pickaxes, stuff like that. And these all have chances on it too. So you're not going to get everything you see in here. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of low chances in here as well. So there's not a very good chance you're going to get much of this. But if you open it on up, you'll see what you get. Oh, as a side note too, anything that doesn't fit in your inventory will drop to your feet when you open it. So, yep, as you can see, those diamond boots just fell on the floor there because I didn't have enough room in there. And it all needed to go somewhere, so it went right on the ground. So now we have those lootbox commands covered. I think that we covered all of them. Let me double check quickly. Help, info. Info is the only one that we didn't do. So what the info command does is pretty simple. We'll have to give ourselves a loot box quickly. So you put the item in hand that you want a little bit of info on, and we want a little bit of info on this rare loot box in particular. So it'll just tell us what keys open this loot box. So this loot box can be opened either by the rare key or the global key. If we gave ourselves an epic key, it would do the same, or an epic loot box rather. It would do the same. And if you have a key in hand, for example, let's give ourselves a global key. It would do the same as well. Rare, legendary, epics, though this can open any of these loot boxes. So with all that covered, let's go ahead and get into the config side of things. So the first thing you're going to want to do is put in this config, obviously. This will help you out a lot. So let's say you want to create a little loot box that doesn't require a key and, I don't know, gives you a diamond sword or something. So right here, you start off probably with using the common loot box. I mean, you can do it right from scratch if you want to. I find it a lot easier if you just change the stuff to what you need. So for this, the sake of this, I'm just going to leave it called common. Common. This is just the name here. So if we give ourselves the common loot box, you can see that the name is in white, and it has a little bit of lore to it. So common loot box white, and that says collected from some random region, and it gives you a little hints as a player on what you should do in case you get one of these. So as you can see on here, and F is just the color. If you look up just a list of Minecraft chat color codes, it will give you these codes right here and what they are correlating to the color. So this is white common loot box, and then also a little message when you open it up, which we'll get into in a second. This is optional, open message, it isn't needed. Same thing with broadcast message, it's not needed, it's all optional. And execute commands. Execute commands, open message, and broadcast message are all optional when it comes to loot boxes. The rest of this is pretty standard. If you just give someone a random loot box that doesn't have a name or lore to it, every single chest of that type is loot box, and no players will be able to place chests on the server, because if you have a loot box in hand, you will not be able to place this thing. Okay, trust me, you won't be able to as a normal player. So just keep that in mind. Next thing is the open message. So if we go ahead and open this thing on up, again, this is an optional thing. It tells you right there you have opened a common loot box. And if we switch over to our notepad document here, it tells us you have opened a common loot box. So that's just a personal message to the player. Whereas broadcast message, this goes to everyone. Everyone on the server will see player name, which is just denoted by the brackets, and player has opened rare loot box. That goes to everyone on the server. And the execute commands are given from console. So if you have like an economy plugin like Essentials, it would give the player, oops, this should be player, not player name. It would give the player 500 of your eco point dollars, whatever you want to call them. Lastly are the rewards. Oh no, sorry, I didn't cover the lore. So the lore works by individual lines here. If I add another line on, you'll be able to see in game that changes a little bit. So I could say hello world, just add a little funky color to it too, just so you can see how colors work. And now when I reload the plugin, always make sure you save and reload. You'll be able to see when I give myself a common loot box, it'll have that little hello world on the bottom there. As you can see on the front there is purple and italicized. That's Minecraft's default for lore items. Make sure that if you want it as gray or something like that, just put an N7. N7 is my favorite color in the game. Looks really nice and everything. You can see there, it says hello world. Note that whenever you update something in the config, all these loot boxes will not work anymore. All the old types, this one will not open. If we try and open this one on up, it won't do anything. It won't even recognize it because the hello is a wrong part of the lore now. When it tries to match the lore, it'll look for the lore exactly as you see it on the common loot box. It won't take something even slightly off, such as in that. So make sure whenever you're updating loot boxes to either create a new type of loot box or to make sure that your players know that this loot box is going to be obsolete from now on and that they have to use them before they're gone. Secondly, or lastly rather, wow, we're getting really ahead of ourselves here, is the rewards. The rewards work with an item ID, possibly damage value if there is. This damage value indicates either like the type it is. Like I know Ink Sac has 13, 14 damage values, which indicate a different color or dye. You can look that up on the wiki if you want to. And weapons have this damage value, which shows it's kind of worn down. And then followed by the quantity or amount. So every item that's a reward has to have an item ID and an amount. The damage value is optional, but you have to make sure you have the item ID and the amount. There's also some optional arguments, such as a name to it. As you can see, this one's called Bacon, and some lore to it, which is just the little text that shows up below the item name. So as you can see, that's just a little cheesy line there I put in for the kicks and giggles. And it's separated by this little pipeline. A pipeline indicates a new line in the lore, and the underscores represent spaces. You cannot put an actual space here, because if you put a space in there, this will think it's another argument, and it won't like that very much. It'll probably destroy the whole reward. It won't even count in the loot box. So if you ever have some item not showing up in the loot box, make sure there is no space in between these. Make sure it's an underscore, and make sure this is one is just a little pipeline. You might get a little confused with the pipeline versus the list here. The only difference here is this thing has to be one line, so I had to make it as condensed as possible, whereas this lore could take up quite some space, and it's quite frankly a lot easier to see how it would look, just like that. Okay, moving on. This rare loot box is the same concept, except it requires a key to open, and it has a broadcast message. So the keys have nothing in here. You won't mention the key in the loot boxes section. This little loot boxes header here will not have anything to do with keys. So we'll get onto that a little bit later. However, the broadcast message for this is right in the loot box itself. So you have the player name and has opened the rare loot box. This can be whatever you want. Player has done something if you really want to. This chat message is up to you. You don't even have to have it in here if you want. You can remove it completely like so, and the plugin will work just fine. Same thing with the execute commands. Just make sure you leave out the first slash in the execute commands. It won't like you for that. Make sure that one's gone. So eco give player will give $500. So that's all there is for these loot boxes. Oh, wait, one last thing is the chance to it. As I stated earlier, there is no minimum or maximum items at the version 2.0 of New Year's Day. I'm going to be working on that, as I said. Right now, there's only the little chance feature. So it doesn't matter what order these go in. You could have chance appear before the name or the name after the chance, as long as the item ID and quantity are first. It doesn't matter what arguments come after that. If you really want to be nitpicky and you want to keep everything uniform, that's great. But as I said, it doesn't really matter. Just make sure that this is from 0 to 100. You can't have 110% chance of something happening or negative 10% chance of something happening. Just keep it strictly 0 to 100. If no chance is specified, it is assumed it is 100%. Okay, that's a mouthful right there. So if you don't understand, feel free to message me about loot boxes or something like that. Otherwise, just keep on looking at this config. I try to make it as consuming as possible so that in case someone did have a question about the miners thing, it wouldn't be involved in here. But again, not everything is covered fully. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me. Right now, this feature with these numbers here is not working. These are enchantment IDs and their levels. I'll get onto this in a later tutorial. Right now, 2.0b, it is not working. Again, I'll be working on this as well. Keep in mind this is a beta version, so this might have some bugs to it. As you can see, that chat message was a little messed up, and the enchantment IDs aren't working, but it's a work in progress, trust me. Continuing on to the keys section, these keys are somewhat similar to loot boxes. Each one has a material, a name, and a lore. And of course, what loot boxes it opens. So the material, again, is just an ID. You can't put the name in this place right now. It has to be the ID. So just search on Google Minecraft ID list or something to that accord, and it'll give you a nice little ID list. Control F works wonders if you're searching for something. Just make sure that it is an ID, not a name. Next, you're going to need a name, which is just the little common loot box or stone pickaxe, whatever you call it. For the key, it matches this key to its, how would you say, any key in the world that is made of a 131 material that has the name rare key and has this exact lore is considered a key. So I guess another important note would be make sure your players can't modify both the name and lore of an item, because if they create an item using name and lore that is exactly like a loot box, it'll recognize it as a loot box. There's no way of telling like, oh, this loot box was generated specifically for loot box. No. Any item in the world that has lore and a name that matches the thing in the config is considered a key or loot box. So again, define your lore here, define your name here, and lastly comes the open loot boxes, which matches these UUIDs at the top here. So make sure each one of these are separate from each other. Don't have two epic ones. Don't have two rares. That'd just be stupid. Make sure that they're individuals. Epic 1, Epic 2, Legendary, Rare, Common, whatever you decide to call it. Make sure that they're independent of each other. That's really all there is to it. You can have multiple loot boxes be opened by a single key, or have a single key open multiple loot boxes. So here you can see a global key opens every single loot box. An epic key opens two types of epic loot boxes. Legendary opens legendary. Whatever. Just make sure that they match. And don't put like a fake UUID here. Don't put like pizza when you don't have a pizza loot box. It'll really screw up the plugin. So with all that being said, make sure that you always back up your config. Don't just have one copy on the server. In case something happens to it, you don't want it to randomly disappear. That's no fun. The plugin is still in beta, as I said. I don't want something wiping like this. This is kind of sketchy right here. I don't want the config to be wiped and you lose everything. So always make sure you have a backup copy in case the new version pops up and it wipes everything. And as long as you have that, it takes a little bit getting used to, but other than that, it's pretty easy to do. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the plugin.